What's up, guys? Aronius here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and man, it took me so long to do this. It's crazy, but I'm gonna hop right into it. It is Soul Cross Curse City, and it is stage 13, S13 right here. Crazy, man. It was just crazy. I mean, it was, man, so annoying, so annoying. So here's the team that I utilized to beat it. Sadly, I wasn't recording when I beat it, but I'm going to give you a walkthrough on champions that you can utilize. Mine are all epics, but these are champions you can utilize to beat this. Of course, this is the rotation with force, rares, and epics. So you can't use legendaries and you can't use mythicals. It's just rares and epics, which means a lot of times, at least spenders, you might have difficulty with doing this stage because you need to upgrade other champions. And if you're a spender, you're probably more so trying to get legendaries and mythicals. That's why I say you're probably going to have a more difficult time with this stage unless you built a ton of epics to begin with. So I use Double Husk. I use Achak the Wenderin. I put him in the lead for additional increased defense. And then we've got Hofories. You could do resistance if you want, but preferably I would go with the increased defense. Sadly, the Husk is an arena battle aura of HP by 30%, which I totally forgot about that he's apparently meant to be an arena champion. So he must do good damage with this one, but I've never personally built a Husk for damage for arena. I wouldn't personally recommend him unless it's one of your champions that you get first in the game, like really early game. You could use him in arena to help with stuns and provokes. Maybe even put him in like a bolster set with damage or something, but I don't know. I personally wouldn't use Husk in arena. That's just me. I use him in PvE. Especially for Hydra, for provokes, and the enemy max HP ability. Enemy max HP is not that strong in arena, unless you're using like a god tier void legendary or a mythical champion that does enemy max HP, like for example Odin that's coming into the game right now. So we've got Mausoleum Mage as well as Hofories. I'm gonna go over the gear in a little bit, but basically I'm gonna run into a first round, the first wave. I have bolster set on one or two of my champions. I highly recommend bolster set. You need to do that. I mean, maybe you don't need it, but you'd probably have to have wicked, crazy god tier gear if you don't use bolster, because you need to survive. You have to survive. If you don't land CC on these champions, especially this guy right here, Hackhorn Smashlord, if you do not land CC on him or even the Ragash can stun and place decreased defense before the hit, so he smacks. So you got to be really careful with Ragash. You want to start off and use Achak as a freezer burner. Now, it does only freeze, 70% chance, to place a freeze for one turn on enemies whose attack is higher than their defense. So people like Razzlevarg and people like this chick right here, who is a Void Legendary, I forget her name off the top of my head, but a Void Legendary, she could get a potential freeze. However, she does have a passive where I think she does end up removing that freeze. I'm going to showcase to you that champion really quick. She's a Skinwalker, Void Legendary, Tunisia. So her passive is whenever an ally receives a freeze, has a 50% chance of replacing it with an HP burn for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be blocked or removed. Whenever an ally or enemy is under HP burn, this champion is immune to stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear. So she's a problem as well, and she also places stuns on your team as well. So that's the reason why you want to bring in Achak and Mausoleum Mage if you can help it, because both of them can add block debuffs onto your team. Okay, and block debuffs for 1 turn, which isn't the greatest, but it's better than nothing. Okay, you want to do that and cycle between these two with the block debuffs as much as possible. You want to try to save those abilities into the second wave, into the third wave, of course, but you want to use as much as possible until you get to those waves. So the first thing you would do is you would go off with this, 50% chance, she removed it, placed an HP burn, but everybody has HP burn. And Achak actually does a ton of damage against the waves with HP burn, assuming that everybody is also being stunned or CC'd, because when they're CC'd, it's like a machine gun of people getting burned down. It's pretty cool. So we go ahead and do the increased defense. We want to take less damage, and then we have to pray. We literally pray for CC. Now you could put your champions like Husk in a stun set, but I do have both my Husk in a relentless set so they can take as many turns as possible. You want to stun them. You want to provoke them. That's what you want to do. That's the name of the game here. So we're going to do this. We got 2 stuns, and actually Hackhorn Smashlord is the person you want to stun. Now Hofreeze is really strong here because Hofreeze actually has a stun on the A1. Each hit has a 10% chance of placing a stun. Now it doesn't go off all that often, but if you get good RNG, it does go off often. You could also put Hofreeze in a nice mastery that will increase the chance of placing that stun by 5%. So we go here, we attack one of the Ragash. So the first thing Ragash does is he places the strengthen and the increased speed. If one Ragash places a strengthen and increased speed, the other Ragash will go in with a nuke. Okay? If the Ragash sees that there's no strengthen or increased speed on the floor, he will place it himself. And then they'll cycle back and forth between each other to nuke. It's pretty annoying. So you want to try your best to stun. There's another stun there. And I got an extra turn. That's why I like Relentless. So I recommend Relentless, high damage, or Reflex. You know, those are things that I would want to put on a Husk. You could put Lethal and Savage, but preferably I would just stick with Relentless if you have it. If not, then just go with your next option. You can go with Reflex, which is going to reduce the turn on the Despair, 35% chance of placing a stun, damage inflicted proportional enemy at max HP. Because these ads have decent max HP, he does do a decent chunk of damage, but it's not crazy. They have more damage stats than they have HP stats, in my opinion, like defensive based stats versus attack stats. Then I go in with this, and I hope that I can hit him. So this run's pretty much over. I mean, I could try, but Tumesia already used the ability. But it's also why I have Mausoleum Mage. Mausoleum can come in here, and I'm just going to A1 on this guy. Hopefully we could stun. We didn't. We did decrease the buff there, which is nice on Achak's A1. And then we can remove with the Mausoleum Maze. We could still potentially get to the next stage or the next floor, but it's kind of challenging now. So now I need to, like, this guy is required to be locked down or else he removes all the debuffs. And it's really, really annoying. So provoking him locks him down. And then you go and focus on Ragashes. You want to put the provokes on Ragash, provokes on him, stuns on Ragash, stuns on him, and because of bad RNG, I lose. I did this about 30 times. When you get to the second wave is the easiest out of all 3 waves. The second wave is just damage dealers. You just place you use Achak to place freezes on most of them because he lands the freeze a lot. And then you just use Husk to provoke and stun. Hofreeze with the revive if somebody dies. And then Mausoleum Mage with the block debuffs alongside Achak with block debuffs. Mausoleum Mage also has a decreased speed on his A1, so he can slow the enemy down one person at a time, which is nice. So I would recommend putting the accuracy on Mausoleum Mage if you can do it. And then, yeah, when you get to the last wave, you're basically trying to focus on killing the, Bad L's. So Bad El Khazar is on the last wave. He is an undead horde champion. He's the one that is going to be a wicked issue for you on the last wave for S13. For Bad El, you want to keep him CC'd the entire time. If he can use its ability like one time, but you need to kill them before the heals go off. If the continuous heals go off and heal them to full, then you're kind of screwed because then they're going to start ramping up and ramping up and ramping up and they're going to kill your team. So with him, you want to focus on both the Bad Ls. There's actually 2 Bad Ls on the last floor or the last wave of S13. So you got to be very, very careful. I wish I recorded it. I did not, and I don't want to run it again. It took 10 minutes to beat it. And again, you want to focus on Bad L, and then you want to focus on Euros, the Soul Cage. So these 2 right here, Bad L, and Euros, as long as you can CC these 3, you won't have much of a problem with these last 2. Because these last 2 have more attack than anything else, Achak's ability comes into play, where enemies' attack is higher than their defense. So because these 2 attack is higher than defense, they're going to get freezed a lot of times. So unless you have bad RNG, where, because it's 70% chance, booked out to 90% chance to freeze. Sadly, you'll have that small threshold of not freezing. So there is a lot of RNG. I feel like Soul Cross is just full of and loaded of RNG. And that's how you win a lot of the stages, is just complete RNG with like stun sets or trying to get refresh procs or trying to use Relentless to take as many turns as possible. But I'm going to go ahead and showcase to you the gear now. So the gear on Hofories, he's in a bolster set and a perception set. Of course, you can get perception from the Forge. It's one of the best sets in the game still. Bolster also extremely strong, but we only get bolster every like 2 or 3 months or so. So it's hard to gather up bolster. So if you can't use bolster, then I do recommend utilizing a shield set, which you can get from Fire Knight. Shield sets are just fine, especially for PvE. For PvP, shield sets are not as great, but you'd want to use a bolster set, which is also shield, but it's protected. That's the difference. But for PvE, most of the waves that you face, they're not removing all of your buffs. They're just doing straight damage to you or placing debuffs. So having a shield set is fine if you don't have bolster. I just prefer bolster because it also heals your ally by 10% every turn. So bolster is 10 times better than a shield set. Now, with my Hofories, I have them in decent gear. I had to swap people's gear around like crazy. Hofories at 81,000 HP, 209 speed, 239 accuracy, and he was landing the debuffs, 311 on the resistance. Now, I will say, keep in mind, Curse City, if you're farming Live Arena, I highly recommend to farm Live Arena. I know, people don't like Live Arena. People hate it. I get it. But you need to farm Live Arena as much as possible. Even if you're losing, don't worry about your stats. That's the issue, is people have this super big issue with their stats. They have to be a certain percentage win rate. Don't worry about your stats so much. If you're just trying to beat PvE, stop worrying about your PvP stats, okay? 223 speed, 82,000 HP. We don't care about his damage, but we're looking at his resistance and his accuracy. I have 263 accuracy, and I was stunning the waves, the champions on the waves just fine. I wasn't getting resisted at all. So if he was landing it, he just wasn't getting resisted. So I guess that you just need around 250 to 260 accuracy. Now, I assume that you would need about 300, but yeah, 260 is fine. But to make sure you absolutely do land your abilities, try to aim for 300 accuracy if you can help it. So bolster set, and then he doesn't have like revenge accessories. I've even got 5-star gear here. You know, defense here, resistance here with double speed. You know, the gear is not fully maxed or anything. It's not ascended. I do have him fully booked. No blessings on him either. He is a +1, but that only gives you 10% defense, 10% HP, and 10% attack. So it's not really much. If you look at this, empowerment, it does give you 10 res and 10 accuracy, but that's not much. So masteries, he is not even complete with masteries, but I would recommend going down and picking up Retribution to try to counterattack when this champion loses 25% of his max HP or more from a single enemy skill. Or you could also do Deterrence with counterattack with the Retribution, so he gets double chances to counterattack potentially, because this is when a enemy lands Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Petrification, and Sheep on one of your allies, which would include himself, because that's going to be nice for the last wave against, I forget his name, Mashaled. So really good against Mashaled. And then you could go with either Resistance for Unshakable to ensure that you're getting these Retribution and Deterrence counterattacks, or you could go with Eagle Eye if you need a little bit more accuracy to try to land it and just kind of gamble with RNG, right? The next champion I utilize is Husk. This is the first Husk that I have. He is in Relentless, and he's in 1 refresh piece. I do need to max out his gear. That would be nice because it'll be better for Hydra, and then as well as PvE content such as Curse City. So he is at 47,000 HP, 3,100 defense, 230 speed, 276 crit damage, 425 accuracy to make sure he can land the stuns on his A2 ability and the provoke on the A1. I never use this retaliate ability. Damage increases according to this champion's current HP. I don't understand this. I never actually asked about it. I wasn't sure if it's because he does more damage if he has full HP versus if he has less HP or closer to 1 HP. I don't really understand this verbiage. But let me know in the comments down below if you do know what that means. I just never use this ability. I just cycle back between these two. I put him in Cruelty because, of course, over time, you're going to do more damage against the waves because you're going to decrease their defense to do more damage. HP in Arena is not going to work. I put him in War Master. That's for Hydra. And then I would recommend going with Kill Streak as well. I just haven't completed his masteries. The second, Husk, again, also in Relentless. He also has one accessory with Refresh on him, so he can hopefully get back to his abilities as quickly as possible with a stun. 48,000 HP, 2,500 on the defense, 207 speed, 259 crit damage, 400 accuracy. His total stats with the Cursed City, 268 crit damage, 424 accuracy, 2,500 on the defense still, and 49,000 HP, which isn't much more on him either. So the stats aren't crazy because I haven't maxed out. I would consider focusing on maxing your Cursed City speed in the area bonuses before you max out, other items on the Cursed City for area bonuses. So there's that. Masteries for him, not complete. I would go with either War Master or Helm Smasher if you're going to try to go for the full damage route against those waves. And then accuracy if you don't have the accuracy. But I think you should be able to get it if you're focusing on Soul Crosses. I mean, Soul Cross is endgame content. So if you're in the endgame, you probably have enough accuracy. Next person is Achak. I put him in a stun set. Very old stun set. It's not very strong. And he is really fast though, I will say. Double speed here. I'm looking for double speed, triple speed. Now I did get a quad speed on this protection piece. It's flat stat, but it's better than nothing. So quad speed 24 on a 5-star, I'll take it. And we got double speed here, one speed here, one roll speed here. So it's not crazy gear, but it's better than nothing. And I also have 3 pieces of protection, which adds an additional 12 speed. So if you can get protection on him, that's awesome. Especially good because he places strengthen and buffs on himself. So I think that 4 pieces would give you a chance to protect the buffs if you decided to go for 4 protection route, although you don't need it. You don't need it at all. So stun set is just fine. He did land stuns here and there in the end with the AoEs. The AoEs is where he lands the stun, the freeze, and the HP burn. So masteries, I did not complete them. I would consider going with Eagle Eye if you don't have enough accuracy, or you could even do something along the lines of speeding up if you have dead allies against those waves, or even counterattacks to try to get a chance of stunning again. The next person, he's fully booked as well. The Husk are both fully booked. I put this second Husk in Crush and Rend. This one is in Phantom Touch, so just a little bit more damage. Although you could use many other blessings. It doesn't really matter what you use for a blessing. I mean, he could go without a blessing and be fine. And then for Mausoleum Mage, no Awakening, no blessing, right? And then for masteries, they're not complete as well. I would recommend going with high resistance on him, so that way he's not getting frozen, and so that way he can remove all debuffs from allies and heal them when he gets a turn, so that they can all wake up like I showed you in that brief run that I was doing. He has decreased speed, so you want to go for at least, again, 250 accuracy if you can help it. So it seems like I only need around 250 to 280 accuracy on S13 of Soul Cross, which is not that bad, honestly. But the waves are just relentless. 85,000 HP, 2,400, almost 2,500 defense, 265 speed with the area bonus, and then 282 accuracy, 265 resistance. He's also in a bolster set. This is one of my better bolster sets on my entire account. I use this bolster set I used to use it on my Python, and then I took it off and put it on him. So right now we also have free regear for the weekend, so this is the time that you're going to want to push as much as possible in Cursed City. So that's everybody. He's fully booked. Masteries aren't complete, like I said. That's everybody, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Other champions. Actually, let me go over a couple of champions as well. So say you want a different damage dealer. You could use one Husk, and you can use this guy, Karam. He's not super powerful, but he's decent. He has decent damage, nothing crazy. I don't really like him because the issue is He only has faction crypt aura of accuracy, which sucks. And then he only attacks one enemy on each ability. He does hit fairly hard, but because he's only attacking one enemy at a time, I don't like him. I don't recommend using him. However, Defiled Sinner, he does have an AoE. Damage increases by 10% for each enemy alive, up to 100%. So he's automatically going to do 50% more damage with the amount of enemies on the team. So that's kind of cool. So he will do decent damage. It's just sad that it's on a 5-turn cooldown. And then this one attacks one enemy, then attacks all enemies, inflicting damage equal to 15% of their max HP if the first hit kills an enemy. The second hit cannot be critical, so it will go based on the max HP on the second hit. It's on a 3-turn, which is not bad, but like I said, Defiled Sinner does hit fairly hard. He also has a chance of placing decreased defense before attacking. So you want to lead off with the A1 and then go in with the A2 if you can kill that enemy right afterwards, which is pretty sick. And it's a big version decreased defense. If 5 or more enemies are alive, does the following attack instead. Attacks all enemies. Places an increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns before attacking. So this guy is very strong for wave content. You can put him in a stun set and he ends up basically doing full attacks all, and it just keeps cycling. Very strong champion there. And then, of course, you could use this guy, Rain Beast, but I'm not a huge fan. He's definitely going to help with shielding and stuff. He's not as powerful as he used to be in the past. This is also on a 5-turn cooldown, which really sucks. And yeah, I personally don't recommend Rain Beast, but you can use him if you want for a damage dealer. Yaga the Insatiable is trash, so I wouldn't even use him. And then you've got this guy right here, Ursine Ice Crusher, decent damage dealer, nothing crazy. He does go based off of defense, which is nice. And he also decreases the damage that all allies receive from critical hits by 15%, which is not bad. So you can definitely use this guy. And he has an aura of 25% HP in all battles. Those are the champions I would recommend. That's how I beat it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to answer them as I see them pop up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on a video soon. Take care.